Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We're back. Better than ever. We're back. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another mock draft Monday. Hope everyone's doing well. As you can see, we've got a draft ready and loaded here. Obviously, we're going to invite some more people in. But I hope everyone's doing well. Is it good to be alive on a Monday night or what? That's what I'm saying. Trevor, let's go. Good to see you again, my guy. Steven, best day of the week. Hey, I'm glad that I can bring some joy into your Monday when most people dread Mondays and they hate Mondays. Again, welcome in everybody. In just a couple seconds here, I will drop in the link. And if you would like to partake in mock drafting, you can do so. Just a quick update on how the draft works. We're going to be doing 30-second clocks. Okay. Here's the thing. I enjoy mock drafting. And normally, I shouldn't say normally, but in the past 2 weeks, we've had full draft rooms, which is awesome. It can turn into a 2-hour stream like that. And I enjoy mock drafting. I enjoy talking with you. 2 hours is a long time. It's a long time. So hopefully by going 30 seconds a pick, it can kind of speed things up a little bit. And hopefully if you're drafting, you know who you're targeting and all that stuff. So speaking of said draft, I'm going to drop in that link right now. YouTube, Facebook should be getting it, and Twitter. I tried to talk to somebody to get this going on Twitter, and that you guys would be able to join. Nothing. Nothing yet. I should say nothing yet. So I apologize. But if you're on Twitter and you want to mock draft, head on over to YouTube and just search Fantasy Football Fellows. And you can find it there. Links will be there. And as you can see on the scroller on the bottom, our Discord gets first dibs in the mock. So if you want a specific spot in the draft, head over to our Discord page. You should find that in the link in the bios everywhere. And you can join there. I drop the links before we do these, before we go live, before we start drafting. And you can use those, get your spots before they fill up and they get taken, because don't want to say it again. We've had a full draft rooms the past 2 weeks. So again, some familiar names. Trevor, my guy, in the 12 spot. This is going to be a good night. Obviously we had some updates in the last 2 weeks. The Quinshon Judkins stuff, the Rashee Rice stuff, the Jordan Addison stuff. If you're just wanting to know how that impacts your drafts, no better way to test that out than in a mock draft. And obviously we'll talk about that as well in terms of how that impacts rankings, how that impacts where you should be targeting those guys in your drafts. Obviously nothing is final yet in terms of suspension, but I think the consensus, the majority, the 99% of majority would assume that something's going to happen and that they're going to miss time. Trevor, new version of the guide come out last Friday or this Friday? This is a good question because I don't recall a new version of the guide going out last Friday. So I will talk with my people and I will come back to you people and let you know. Actually, let's do that right now. While we still got some time, we got 2 spots left in the draft for people to fill. But let me ask my people. And I'll let you know what they say. But my memory says that one didn't go out last Friday. So we should probably try to get one this Friday because you guys deserve that for what we were saying about getting that last Friday. Yeah. Justin from YouTube, what's going on? What are the best spots to draft from in a 12-man? I can't wait for this draft. Well, good to have you. My personal opinion, it's the late, anywhere from like 10 to 12. Simply put, let's just take a look at the sleeper board here. Starting at that 9 spot, Neighbors, Derrick Henry, Nico, Ashton Genty, Brock Bowers, Brian Thomas, Christian McCaffrey, Devon Achane, Drake London. If they make it back there, you are in prime spot in that 10 to 12 spot, right on the turn to get 2 of those guys. And that's a great start to a draft. Hey, Tyler, if we can't fill this and 2 spots are open, can we make this a 10-man? I don't hate that idea, actually. So how about this? We'll give it a minute. We'll give it another minute. There we go. We got now just 1 more spot, but there's a second draft. And if there's 10 there, we can do a 10-man on the second one. I don't think that's going to be a problem. I didn't get an email, just was checking because I think Cam mentioned, I believe, last Monday. You would be correct. So still haven't heard back from my people just yet. I don't want to give any promises or any guarantees, but I should hear back from somebody before the end of the stream. So, all right, just 1 more spot. And then we'll get this show on the road. Again, to join, use the links that I dropped in the chat. If you're on Facebook and YouTube, or if you're on our Discord page, join through there as well. Wesley in the building as well to draft. So now we have 12. Again, 30-second clocks. Rosters are still the same. Quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, tight end, flex, 5 bench spots. I will keep the draft board up as much as possible, but with that being said, I think we get going here. Let's get the show on the road. I conveniently took the 101 because I don't think I've done a 101 draft, and I just want to see how this turns out. So I'm going to go top overall player in Jamar Chase 101. Trevor, will you do a video over 14 team strategies? I think you did one last year. Don't know if I'm going to do a video, but I can certainly talk about it. 14 team strategies don't really differ that much from 12-man, but it obviously depends on settings in your league and all that stuff again. Charlie, good to see you, buddy. Good to see you again. Let's see here. Pretty chalk to start off this new draft. By the way, I'm going off of my rankings. If you want to know what my rankings are and what Trevor is referring to here, we have our draft guide. We have the 2025 Fantasy Football Fellas draft guide out and available for you. It's got my stat projections and rankings, as well as Lucas and Cam's, and you get the attachments for all the projections if you want to look into the numbers, or if you just want the rankings themselves, you can get those. And we also have team pages, team profile pages that give you all kind of the nerdy stats that we look at and everything that we consider at least just a part of it. I don't want to say it's everything, but that's where you get the concise like team rankings. So if you're looking at Arizona, you would get Kyler through Trey McBride of all running backs and wide receivers and all of our rankings right next to each other to see how they stack out. So fellasdraftguide.com to check that out. Nick on Facebook, thanks for having me. Nick, we're glad you made it. Glad you're in this draft. I'm assuming 105 Campbell Cruz is you, but again, good to have you. Trevor auto-picked. Trevor, what's going on? What's going on? We auto-picking on 30-second clocks already? I didn't think our 30-second clocks not the move. Uh-oh. Nah. What a start. Just want to go back to this. Justin, best spots to draft from in a 12-man. You can kind of see it here already. Nico Devon Achane at the turn, really nice. Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr., really nice. Yeah. Interesting. Josh Jacobs at the 203. Trevor, I didn't auto pick. You queued it up. You were ready to go. When Nico should have went Brian Thomas, couldn't make up my mind. I don't think you can go wrong. Either one of those guys. I'll be honest. I've got Nico ahead of BTJ, but I know. I don't think you can go wrong with either of those guys at the turn. So, Justin, that turn looks crazy. You bet. So, if you're if you do a league where you guys do some kind of like combine or competition for draft picks, purposely lose. If your commissioner is saying like first person to get out gets the 12th pick, purposely get out. Purposely get out. There is no shame in taking the turn this year. There is absolutely no shame in it. But if your commissioner's smart and they might say, gosh, what was I going to say? If they're smart, they would say first person that goes has to take, like the 108 or something like that. Trevor, you said you got Nico over BTJ. I do. Let me take a gander at this real quick. I've got Nico ahead of Brian Thomas by 3 points in my updated rankings. That should be going out in the near future. So yeah, I do have Nico ahead, but it's not like a crazy difference because I see the upside case for both those guys. Googly moogly. I love Ladd and I love Chase Brown. I think that's pretty easy for me. Sorry for anybody that was targeting Chase Brown. Yeah, last version had Brian Thomas over Nico. Indeed it did. I can see where that would lead some of y'all astray. So I will try to do my best to let you know if rankings are the current, what you have right now, or if they are updated in the revised. So I will let you guys know. Again, deeply apologize if you guys are targeting Chase Brown. Sorry. Justin Yavs might have to fake an injury. It's a pretty good excuse. Everyone believes no one buys the hammy injury, so you need to be real creative though. Roll your ankle or something, right? Like that will get you the 12th spot for sure. So just taking a look at the board here, some early thoughts that I've got. Kamara 3rd round. Here we go, people. Here we go. Jacobs going front half of the 2nd round. I don't hate it. Stick to your guns. Stick with your player rankings. I don't mind that at all. Find it interesting that we've got McBride, Bowers going back to back. I think this is just kind of a sleeper thing where, again, Lamar and Josh Allen are ahead quite a bit compared to the other quarterbacks, and McBride and Bowers are quite ahead of the other tight ends. It always catches me off guard just because I do best ball a lot, but those guys at the end of the 2nd round is certainly a price tag that you got to be careful of. How far you think Rice will tank? Well, I probably wouldn't be touching him until, at least the 4th round at minimum. Just because I have a feeling it's going to be closer to 6. And even if it's 4, I mean, we'll talk about some of the receivers that go in the 4th, and I would even say back end of the 4th. But if you miss 4 games, that puts you really behind an 8 ball to try to, again, be a top 15 guy, because most drafts in our mock drafts, he was going like end of the 3rd round. And I didn't mind it because did not think that there was a suspension on the way. So I would say probably at least a round, if not more. Vinny the Beast should have grabbed Bucky before Josh. Well, Bucky, I don't know if am I missing a Josh? Oh, yeah, Josh Jacobs. I don't mind. I'll be honest. I think Jacobs should still be going ahead of Bucky. Like the Tampa offense, that's the other kind of big thing that we need that should be talked about more often, in my opinion. Tristan Wirfs being out for this Tampa offense is a pretty big deal. So I would stand by that Jacobs over Bucky pick for sure. Banana Man, I like picks 11 and 12 through the 1-2 term, but don't really like anyone in rounds 3 or 4. I can get that. But I think that's just kind of in some weird way, there's a tier break. I would say, you could put Genty ahead, and I would say like right about here, you get the first round up until the 203 tier break. Then from the 204 to like 309, likely 308 tier break. So end of the 3rd round feels like you're going down a tier, but I think I don't want to call it that's the price you pay for going with a guy or for getting a guy that could be a 1st round guy in the 2nd. But I think it makes up for it in that sense. You get what I'm saying? Like I get what you're saying, that like the 3-4 turn isn't super sexy, but the 1-2 turn makes up for that. So Patrick Kamara is a PPR dog, going to get so much check down work. Correct. I think Kamara is pretty good. I get it. Stand by the player take. And I get it. I totally get it. Patrick also, Jacobs is getting huge underrated. I don't know if I would say, I think he gets overlooked. I think is the best way to say it, because he's consistently a 2nd round guy in these mock drafts. So I wouldn't say that he's underrated. I think he gets overlooked a lot because people get on the wide receiver craze or whatever it is. But Jacobs is a very, very solid pick in my opinion. I like Amari Hampton at the 3rd round turn, especially with all the Najee Harris news. That's the other big piece of news. Like, for all we know, like the door is pretty wide open for Amari Hampton to really just kind of take a hold of this backfield. So, Bryce, how do I join these mock drafts? One of 2 ways. You join through our Discord page, which you can find Bryce on YouTube in the link in the bio. And I post that link about a couple of minutes before that draft gets shared then with the greater Facebook and YouTube chats. That's the second way. I drop the links here in the comments, and you can join with that link that I use. So those are the 2 ways that you can join. There will be another one at this pace. There will be another mock draft that we'll do. Oh boy, let's see what draft boards are saying here. I'm gonna go Chuba Hubbard, who's my best available running back, and let's do Devonta Smith. Let's do Devonta Smith there. So Bryce, again, as soon as this one ends, I will then drop the link. You know what? Beginning of the 11th round, I will drop the link into the 2nd mock draft, and people can start joining then. That's through Discord. And then once this draft wraps up and then I move into the next draft, I will then drop the link in these chats. So Tom, it's good to see you listening to the pod at the gym. Might be able to join the next draft. Definitely if you do a 3rd. Ooh. 3 is it's a lot. We'll see. We'll see. But anyway, what do you think about this rookie running back class? Any standouts that you would be targeting? I'm not sure. Well, how do I say this? I'm not going out of my way to get these rookie running backs. Um, there would be some people that would say, like, how are you not going out of your way to go get Ashton Genty? It's just because I'm not sure exactly how the scoring is going to look in Vegas, if there's going to be enough of that to propel Genty to finish kind of where his price tag is going right now. Omarion Hampton, I don't mind, just because I'm just a fan of this Chargers offense going into year 2 now with Greg Roman and Justin Herbert still at the helm. But then some of the other rookie running backs here, like RJ Harvey, Travion, Quinshon Judkins, he's like that one. I can say the one running back I'm not targeting is Quinshon Judkins, just because if this offense is supposed to be really, really bad, I'm not sure how that's going to look. So I think the best way I can say with these rookie running backs, it depends on how my team is built. I don't really want to rely on these rookies to be a starter on my fantasy teams right out the gate. But if I can get a guy that can sit on my bench for the majority of the year, and then second half of the year they take over their backfield, I then reap that benefit. I reap those benefits. So again, not going out of my way to target these rookies, but are the RJ Harveys, the Travion Hendersons, Caleb Johnsons, even if I can get them to be my running back 3, that's when I would be all over the rookie running backs. NTT, how do you feel about taking an elite quarterback this year? From a redraft perspective, best ball is very different because the quarterbacks are going at the end of the 3rd. I find myself opting for those kind of quarterbacks because the other players to choose from are not as good, to be honest with you. But in redraft, at least on Sleeper, it's very different. Lamar and Josh Allen are kind of end of the 2nd round picks. Then we're looking at like Jaden Daniels and Jalen Hurts at the end of the 3rd. So I think the only way that I'm going to be going, elite quarterback at the beginning of the year is if I know that I can get another guy in that like 2nd tier of players, right? If I can get a Tyreek Hill, if I can get a Jonathan Taylor, Chase Brown, like if I can get one of those guys to go with the elite quarterback, then I would. But if I'm not sure I can get one of those guys, I'm not exactly going all out for the elite quarterback then. So Vinny, thoughts on Zay Flowers this year? Thomas, I'm avoiding Zay like the plague. If the value is really, really good, I'd maybe consider it. And that's where I find myself. I think, ADP of 54 is still pretty strong for me that I can't get behind it. Charlie got sniped on James Conner. Hate to see it. Hate to see it. Thomas, you nailed it. He's talented, but just not enough volume going on in that Ravens offense. Nick, which veteran running back on his new team finishes better, Nick Chubb or J.K. Dobbins? J.K. Dobbins. I have no idea what Nick Chubb can do in this Houston backfield. I still think this is Joe Mixon's backfield. So I am very strongly saying J.K. Dobbins on that one. Sir Brooks, how are you sending Olave for a Kamara if you're looking to try and compete in the next 1 to 2 years? Could detail the roster a bit if you need to see the team. It's a 12-man dynasty in PPR. I guess if you're looking to compete the next 1 to 2 years, it makes sense. But what are you doing in the 1 to 2 years after the 1 to 2 years, if that makes sense? So looking at year 3 and 4, what is your team looking like? That's the more important question I would ask, because I don't hate the idea of going and trying to compete this year, but I would also just consider, think through it first. That's ultimately what I'm saying. on the clock here again. I'm a big Jalen Waddle guy at the end of the 6th round. Probably need to look at running back. I think I'm going to go with my rookie running back 3 strategy and Caleb Johnson. It's not a bad team so far. Didn't realize how I'm in on this Cincinnati offense going Jamar and Chase Brown. I like points. That's what it comes down to. What'll be interesting, I think, as soon as the 7th round hits, I'm not saying that people are going to get desperate or that they should get desperate for quarterbacks and tight ends, but at least like on Sleeper's board, you can see like the tight ends, they go pretty quickly, like in this 7-8 range. Quarterbacks, just like a round or 2 after that. So it'll be interesting to see for those that haven't invested in quarterback or tight end yet to see how that all works out. But let's take a look at some of the teams here so far. Any teams standing out to me? Josh's team, I'm a decent fan of. Bijan, Trey, JSN, Sutton, and Judy, Connor, and Bo Nix. The nice little Cortland Sutton, Bo Nix stack there. I do not mind that one at all. Nix draft also. Don't mind. We probably need one more receiver just to kind of lock things up, but that's a pretty solid start so far as well. I feel like I always need to highlight the Christian McCaffrey team because you guys know how I feel about McCaffrey this year. Vince, I like the running backs, like the quarterback. We just need to get the pass catchers there. And I think there's still a decent number of good pass catchers available to target. Banana Man as well, looking at the rookie running backs. And Trevor's team looking at those wide receivers. There's some bounce back and some upside with those guys for sure. My team's the best. I'm kidding. That's not what a good host does. Sir Brooks, Josh Allen, David Montgomery, Javonte, BTJ, Marv, Amon-Ra, Kraft, Goddard, McMillan, Trey Benson, Ray Davis, and my notables with Brock and May. Backup QB plan for future is invest in rookies. Kamara would be to shore up the running backs, compete, but could my team compete, or do I just take the risk with his? Well, I would understand actually going or moving off of Olave. You've got kind of the Olave's the odd man out in that receiver room. So I understand going after Kamara then. Bryce, do you ever do super flex? I was invited to join one this year. I've done my fair share of super flexes before. And Bryce, I also forgot to mention this. I think at the beginning of August, when we do our second mock drafts, the second drafts will be our fun drafts or our different variations of drafts. So we'll do tight end premiums. We'll do 3rd round reversals. We'll do super flex drafts as well. So I'm all ears to help out with super flex, but in a couple weeks time, really like a week and a half, we will be getting into some super flex drafts. So you should definitely tune in for all of those because those will also be a good time as well. Charlie, I think Jacoby Myers is a sneaky one. Jacoby Myers in the 7th. I don't mind it, but you just got to hope that what we kind of got what we got last year is what we get again. Because it's a volume thing. He's not really going to find the end zone that often. So So we're coming back up on the clock here. Nice little tight end run there. Quarterbacks are still kind of hanging on the board here. Yeah, I think the tight ends are going to be going here pretty quickly. Never been sure about this, but is it worth carrying more than one? Great question. This is a great question. And I hate to give you the it depends answer, but it does depend on exactly who is your quarterback and tight end that you take first. As I'm on the clock here, I'm just going to make my picks. Grab our quarterback, Justin Herbert, for that lad stack. Looking at tight ends, gets real thin real quick. Probably going to take one more running back. 10 seconds. I got to make a pick. Oh, no. I'll just go ETN there. Trevor, quit taking my dudes. Sorry. Sorry about it. Sorry. I promise you I don't do it on purpose. I just like your guys too. Or you just like my guys. Just saying. Somebody is liking each other's guys. That's all I'm saying. Is it worth carrying more than one quarterback or tight end? Here is what I would say. Banana Man, looking at your team. Obviously, you don't have a quarterback yet. But your tight end of Evan Ingram, I rate highly enough. I would only take one tight end. But looking at my team, where I don't have a tight end, I'm probably going to end up taking two tight ends because I want to increase my chances of hitting at that tight end spot. Justin Herbert, I rate highly enough that he would be my only quarterback. But if there's a value at some point in the draft, it may make sense, right? Depending on how the rest of the board looks. Let's find another example here. Charlie took Brock Bowers in the second. I would only have one tight end on my team. Baker Mayfield as a quarterback, I would understand keeping him as your only quarterback. Let's see here. Let's do another one. Kittle, only tight end, makes sense. Joe Burrow is your quarterback. Dak Prescott is another one. I probably would not have gone. I would have only stuck with Burrow then. I'm gonna see if I can find. There we go. This is one. Josh Allen, starting quarterback, just one. I would stick with just that one. Sam Laporta, I would stick with him as a one tight end guy as well. Josh, this is interesting. He took Trey McBride in the second. Bo Nix in the seventh. I rate Nix highly enough to be my only quarterback. I have McBride also as a guy that I would set it and forget it at the tight end spot. I would not have necessarily pushed for Tyler Warren. I think you would be just fine with one of them. Trevor, I hope you don't mind if I use you as an example here. Drake May is your quarterback. I like his upside. I also can acknowledge the downside that he does carry just being on a New England offense. I would probably look to find one quarterback after. Also, Mark Andrews. We saw upside last year in touchdowns, but if that regresses and the touchdowns fall off, he might not be as reliable as you would want him to be. I would probably look for another tight end in case. So it ultimately, right, to put a pin in this one, to put the cherry on top, I would say it ultimately depends on how you feel about the quarterback and tight end that you took. I would not go into a draft going, I'm for sure taking two quarterbacks and two tight ends. It just depends on who you took. And if you've got a quarterback that you're confident in, stick with it. Stick with just that guy. But yeah, the overarching theme. Don't go in just going, I'm taking 2 guys, no matter what, because doing that can kind of pigeonhole yourself into missing out on some other talent there. Boy, yeah, tight ends. Yikes. Charlie again. Brock Bowers in the 2nd, Jake Ferguson in the 10th. I personally would not have gone another tight end. That's because I think that highly of Bowers. But I know people that do want the insurance just in case. And I'm fine with that. I get it. I totally get it. As we're coming up on the clock here, I'm going to go a little surgical with mine, assuming that my guys make it here. And maybe I'm going too long on this question, but I want to just give another example as to when it would be okay to go 2 quarterbacks or 2 tight ends. I need a tight end. I like Colson Loveland. I'm fine with Herbert as my 1 quarterback, but since I have a Bear and I'm not exactly sure how I feel about the rest of the board right now, I'll take Caleb and just go with a little Chicago Bears stack. Speaking of which, because now we are in the 11th round, I'm going to drop the Discord, or I'm going to drop the link for the next mock draft in the Discord. So if you would like to join the second mock draft, all you got to do is join through the Discord. And if you're not on Discord, then you just got to wait until this one wraps up. And then I drop the link in there as well. So let me do that quickly. And then we'll get back to some more questions if you guys have them. Unless I did it. There it is. And there we go. Here we go. Speaking of that, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you.
Yes! Here we go! Yes! Here we go!
We have a Dak Prescott here we go bit now. And I love it. It's sweet. Here we go. Mock drafts. You missed the first one, or if you want to redeem yourself. There we nope. There we go. Okay. So second draft link is now in the Discord page. It is live. So join away. Bryce, we in. That's what I'm talking about. For those of you that can't make the second one, or even if you are going to be in the second one, you want some reviews or thoughts on your team, just let me know. And I will give you some advice, give you some critiques, some praise, depending on what I see. Just let me know. As we're wrapping things up here, back to my points about the tight ends. I do want one more tight end. We'll just see who's available. I'm not really encouraged though by what's left on the board for tight end. So maybe No, I can't. I don't feel confident enough going into the season with Colson Loveland as my only tight end. So, all right, last pick is your boy, yours truly. Gosh, this board stinks. Golly. We'll go Hunter Henry. Okay. So here's the full draft board. So Trevor, let's hear it on team 12. You got it. Nico, Achane Hampton, Evans Olave, Ridley Diggs, Andrews Kincaid, quarterbacks Drake May, Trevor Lawrence, and Tyjae Spears is your running back 3. I like it. I do like this team. I appreciate the Diggs Drake May stack. The only thing I would probably change is obviously hindsight's 2020, and you had no way of knowing that you're going to get Diggs and then also get Drake May to get the stack. Had you known that you were going to get Diggs and Drake May, I probably would have let one of these receivers go and then taken, a James Cook, Ken Walker, Breece Hall, or even then like Travion or Aaron Jones. This might just be me. I would have maybe even looked at Caleb Johnson, just because you're so wide receiver heavy. And I'm not saying that I don't like Hampton and Achane as your guys at running back, but probably just one other piece other than Tyjae behind it. That's the only critique that I've got. I really like that team as well. So Trevor, nice job. Very nice job. Banana Man from the 11. Neighbors, BTJ, Garrett Wilson, James Cook, RJ Harvey, Travion Henderson, Rome, Ingram, Josh Downs, Jared Goff, Tootin, and McCarthy. Right off the rip, the wide receivers are awesome. Running backs, I understand going the rookie route. I probably would have looked at grabbing, because you didn't really have the opportunity to grab a more veteran player or a guy that can at least start off the season as kind of a producer for fantasy, if that makes sense. Sometimes it's just how the board falls to you, and I completely get that. So your hope is now that the rookies hit the ground running, right? One of RJ Harvey or Travion. And even until then, I think your wide receivers can kind of carry that a little bit. Love Evan Ingram as the tight end. The quarterbacks are probably the next thing I would look at Jared Goff. Okay. But just knowing that you had like guys that I have ahead of Jared Goff, like Kyler and Brock Purdy, Caleb, especially with Rome, Caleb, Justin Fields, even like it's not that I don't like Goff and McCarthy. I think I would just prefer other quarterbacks. And if that's your take, then I respect it. So I think that's a pretty solid team as well. Just some minor tweaks here and there. Maybe things just fall differently. And then it's a different team and different opinion. But I saw a team there. Charlie from the 4. Jefferson Bowers, Kamara Harrison, Mixon, Myers Jennings, Stevenson, Ferguson, Egbuka, Stroud, and Mayfield. So right off the first thing that I'll say, I don't think you needed to go the double quarterback, double tight end thing. Because I trust Baker enough to be a guy that you can just kind of set in and forget it most weeks. Brock Bowers for sure. So next time I wouldn't be so, I got to get a backup for my guys. I have to have backups for these guys. You can find backups on waivers. In terms of your running backs, I don't hate them. I think I probably would have used, instead of Ferguson or Stroud, I would have used one of those picks to find a fourth running back. I like Kamara. Mixon is solid value in the fifth. Ramondre is your third guy. Isn't the worst thing in the world, but just maybe a fourth in case Ramondre, for whatever reason, is second fiddle to Travion. And I know, Charlie, you have also said that, like, for your receivers, like Jefferson, nice. Marvin the fourth, okay. I like that. I like that. You're big on Myers, so I respect it. I don't feel the same, but you're big on Myers, and I respect that. Jennings, that one's going to be an interesting one. That's one to just look out for during training camp. Does he get traded, signed? How does the contract work? Because if he misses time, we've seen what happens in a Kyle Shanahan offense if you miss time during training camp, i.e. Brandon Ayuk. And then Ibuka as a nice little like Baker kind of late round stack. It's pretty solid. So again, the only thing I would say, probably don't need to be going the double tight end, double quarterback range, and that can give you more chances to hit on some wide receivers and running backs other than the ones that you took. So not bad, just slight change. That's maybe my preference. That's my preference. Logan on team 7, Puka, Drake, T. Higgins, Brees, Hawkinson, Aaron Jones, Tracy, Brian Robinson, Jaden Reed, Purdy, Fields, and Hollywood Brown. Quarterbacks are solid. I love the value on those guys this year, just because they go so much later and they can be guys that let's see what else. I like the running back values here. Brees, I'm okay with Brees. I'm not a huge fan, but I'm okay with him there. But then you just look, Brian Robinson, lead back in a high scoring offense is what a high scoring projected offense with Tyrone Tracy and Aaron Jones. Somebody's going to hit. Like, somebody's got to hit out of those three. And I would expect one of Aaron Jones or Brian Robinson to do that. So, and then your receivers, obviously starting strong with the three. And that's why you could punt to a Jaden Reed as your fourth guy. Understandable. And TJ Hawkinson is your tight end. I like that team. I do like that team quite a bit. Eduardo, thoughts on team 9? McCaffrey, Gentry, Kittle, Burrow, Jameson, Travis, Debo, Mason, Garendo, Ray Davis, and Christian Kirk. Where do I start? I think the running backs are solid. I like the Garendo handcuff from McCaffrey. Mason is your running back 3 behind those volume guys. You kind of reap the benefits of any upside that Jordan Mason hits in Minnesota. Ray Davis also as well. Kittle is your tight end. Solid, like that. Only here's where I would go differently. I would not have taken Dak Prescott, and I would have taken Rome Odunze or Diggs or Khalil Shakir instead. I think the receiver room needs some help. Jameson, having him as my wide receiver 1 wouldn't leave me with a ton of confidence. Travis Hunter, just the wild card that he is, and Debo, also a wild card. I think the best way to say it, if your team doesn't succeed, it's because of the wide receivers. So again, instead of Dak, when you had a Burrow, I wouldn't, you wouldn't be changing out Burrow majority of the weeks. So instead of Dak, I'd be looking at Rome or Diggs or Khalil Shakir just to give you another shot at a receiver to hit. So just that one thing I would change, but everything else is pretty solid as well. Nick, Dylan Sampson may be a steal in the last round by Carson. He's a sleeper with Judkins possibly suspended. We've talked about this briefly as well. Samson could be a steal, but I talked about it with Judkins then. I don't know if it's worth like going after the Cleveland backfield for an offense that's not projected to do super well this year. I don't know if you're exactly like, getting a steal. Obviously, like if Samson finishes closer to 30 than he does to like 50 or 40, then it's a steal because he went in the 12th round of your draft. But he's not ultimately going to be enough of a difference maker that can sway your team one way or another in your league, if that makes sense. So I get what you're saying, that he's a sleeper. I struggle with giving that to just all the late round running backs, regardless of the team that they're on, because not all situations are made equal. Steven, I couldn't get any running back value early, so I hammered them late. I'm the 6. You are correct. Sometimes you do just kind of find yourself in the middle and you just can't get the board to fall your way when it comes to a certain position. That's what happened here. Just couldn't get the running backs. But to be honest with you, the receiver should be able to kind of carry you. That Worthy Mahomes stack, it's pretty nice, especially if like Worthy and Mahomes can kind of connect on deep balls this year. That's huge. That would be huge. And Njoku is your tight end. Javonte, Charbonnet, Trey, and Samson, you just need one of them, right? You just need one of those guys to kind of step up. So that's the big if. You just need one of those guys, if one of those guys can step up. But I think you did the best thing that you possibly could and just take what you could with what was on the board. So all right, let's hop over to the second draft here, as we've got about 4 spots left. How about this? Real quick in the chat, let me know if you guys want to do a 10-man. Let me know if you guys want to do a 10. And if we do a 10, then just 2 spots then are left. But let me know. Let me just grab the links, throw them in here so you guys can join. Otherwise, if we fill 12, that's totally fine too. That's totally fine. Yep, Jared, gotcha. Got you there. Logan, if you send a link for this draft, I'll join. Beautiful. Sent those. I'd rather stick to 12. Eduardo, yes. There we go. Steven, can you drop the link? Got the link in there. And we are full. How about that? Okay. So here's what I'll say. If there are enough people that want to do a 10-man mock draft, the best way to get one going is through our Discord, where we have hundreds of people also on this Fantasy Football Fellows channel that we have. That if you set one up, people will join, right? You just tag everybody and say like, hey, I'm running a 12-man mock draft. Join if you want to, or, and give people enough time, right? The spontaneous mock drafting is pretty rare. So give people time ahead, let them know ahead of time. But if you join there, you just post the link. There will be people to join. So tonight we'll do 12. I can make a plan though for next week that we can do a 10-man. So all right, y'all. Mock draft 2. Let's get it rolling. 30 seconds again, same roster construction as again. August is where we will have some fun, where we'll do the super flexes and the tight end premiums and all that stuff. So, but until then, we'll keep it pretty standard, just because there's still so much, I don't want to say unknown, but things can really change on a dime. Like obviously the whole Rashee Rice, Jordan Addison, the suspensions then, or with Quinshon Judkins, all that just flips everything on its heels or on its heads there. Then you've got we're getting into training camps now. So things, again, will start to kind of fall into place, or they'll either fall into place or they'll get into motion in some weird way. You get what I'm saying? Like, things will happen. So I think until then, we keep it consistent. And then once things start to kind of set into place, there we go. That's what I meant to say. As things get into motion, we keep it consistent. But as things start to settle down, then we will start to have some fun there. Let's see who's on the board. McCaffrey, Logan. Golly, dude. I should have known. I was never going to get my guys. Y'all are too smart. Y'all are. We've done this enough times now. We're gonna go Nico. Let's see how this goes. I probably should have gone H-Ham because I know the receivers I can come with. Jay said, could we join the next one? Unfortunately, this is going to be it for tonight. Obviously, we'll have another mock draft Monday next week, but if you are wanting to do a mock draft, I highly, highly, highly recommend getting over to our Discord page, starting it up yourself. And here's the thing, I can maybe join and do a mock draft with people there. It's more so just being live for it. I just have stuff to do on my end of life. So I can multitask. And if you guys have questions, you can ask me over the chat, whether that's in Discord or in the draft room itself. You can ask me there, but going live for 3 drafts would be a little much for me tonight, and especially what I've got on my plate. So on the clock here, gosh, I knew I should have gone a running back because I'm not a fan of the running backs that come around. Let's get funky. Let's go Brock Bowers. Why not? Let's have some fun. We experiment with mock drafts. Wesley Nico going to get a ton. I just wonder if he's going to hold up. He's always got a hammy or something. That's the thing. I just looked this up the other day. He hasn't played. Nico, let's see. I'm just going to fact check myself here real quick. He hasn't played a full season in his career, so he's missed time in some way, shape, or form. That just comes with that's just the risk that you take on. But like you said, Nico's going to get a ton, especially in this new offense and that Houston will have this year under Nick Caley. I'm kind of expecting big things, and on the chance that he stays healthy a full year, like, guy could be a top 3 guy at wide receiver. Don't want to say he's going to be he could be the wide receiver 1, because it's hard to replace Jamar Chase from the wide receiver 1 spot. So, let's see here. I definitely, I don't, this is a very unusual, this is not a typical tie draft, going wide receiver in the first round and Brock Bowers and a tight end in the second. Oh, okay. Wow. Eduardo, Saquon Chase Brown. Okay. Wow. That's not one that I expected. I like it though. Do you like BTJ over Amon-Ra in Neighbors? Yes. Yeah. My rankings do have BTJ ahead of both of those. In my revised versions, I count myself, Trevor. I count myself. Neighbors is the interesting one here because in full PPR, he could literally just volume his way like he did last year. So I don't know. I would definitely gotcha. I would definitely have Brian Thomas ahead of Amon-Ra St. Brown. Neighbors is the interesting one, but I don't. Here's the thing with Neighbors, and what's really my holdup with Neighbors for this year. I don't know how he can best what he did last year, if that makes sense. Like he had such a here. I'll pull it. Let's pull it up. No, I just want to show the card. Having 170 targets in your rookie year. I don't know what does better look like in year 2? It's 180, 190 targets. I'm pretty sure I'm just gonna look at history quick and just see if anyone has had 180 or more targets in a year. I feel like we have. I feel like CD recently did. Maybe that was 160 as we're on the clock again. T. Higgins is a pretty easy choice there for me. If Jameis Winston plays, you bring up a very good point. Yeah, geez, has anyone had over 180 targets in their career? So we've had a couple over 200. We have Marvin Harrison. We had Reggie Wayne. We had Antonio Brown. We had Calvin Johnson, DeAndre Hopkins, Julio Jones. So I guess we've had quite a number of players have 180 or more. How many exactly have we had? 26 total people. Most recent was Cooper Kupp in 2021 with 190. And I'm going to do some quick maths on this as I make my pick. You guys will hear the thought process that I have. I thought CD had make my pick here. Onesie positions locked up. See, I thought CD did as well, but maybe it was in the 70s, 170s. And here's the other thing though too, that like different websites will have, CD had 181, and why is he not showing up in here then? Or did I just like completely blow by it? Well, Jefferson had 181 in 2022. There he is. There's CD. I see him now. He had 181. So let me do this quick. Out of 26 players that had 180 targets in a single year, what do you think was okay, so let me start this. Oh, no. Why did it not include them? That was stupid. Let me try this again. I kind of want to turn this into a pop quiz, and I'm not sure if I can how to run a poll on this. But yeah, yep. CD did in 23, had 181. Yep. CD had 181 in 23. Jefferson had 181 in 22. Cooper Kupp had 190 in 2021. So of all the players that had 180 or more targets, we have 26, and they average 190, right? So from 180 to the most in 213. If you guys had to guess what the average is for all of those players the following year in targets, what would you guess? I want to see if somebody can guess it. So in 1 year, 26 players that had 180 or more targets average 190 targets. I hope that's making sense. The following year, what do you think the average was? JM 173 or so. Okay. Anybody else want to get their guess in? 152, 140 to 150. The correct answer is 141. 141. And there has only been one player to ever have more targets than the year before. And there are a handful of players that had just a slight decrease. Like Randy Moss, Demaryius Thomas, rest in peace, Rod Smith, Devontae Adams in 2022. They all saw like a 15 target decrease the following year, which really isn't substantial enough. The only player to ever have more was Antonio Brown in 2015. Antonio Brown in 2014 had 195 targets. And the following year, he had 205. So that's where my my question of Neighbors comes into play of just like, well, how much better does he get than last year, right? Like, even when we have no added target competition, no added target competition, slightly better quarterback play. Like, shouldn't that mean more? History tells us that it's incredibly difficult to repeat or even improve. So it's not that I don't think that Neighbors is a bad pick. I just have my questions about it. Were those ABs repeat wide receiver 1 years? I'm pretty sure they were. I'm like 99% sure they were. I'll confirm it. I'm like near certain it was. They were indeed. They were. Steven, rest in peace to Tyler's running back room. Hey, look, some of us need to just kind of go on the, go with the flow and just kind of, it's not great. It's not great. We'll see how it turns out though. We'll see how it turns out. You remember how I was saying, like, I should have gone running back round 1? Here we are. Gosh, we got a falling Sam Laporta, falling TJ Hawkinson, and I would if I didn't have Brock Powers. Not going to reach too far for a running back either. So I'll just go with my guy, Jalen Waddle again. Gosh, yeah, the running backs will need to come through. So I hope Vinny, don't worry, I'll trade you a running back. Please. I would love one of your running backs other than Kyron Williams. I saw somebody ask, yes, Wesley, where you got Kyron this year. I feel like people sleeping on him a bit. So funny you bring up Kyron, because we just talked about Kyron Williams today in our new podcast episode that's coming out tomorrow, where we did our top 36 running back rankings and we put them into tiers. So you should definitely make sure that you tune in to that one. The concern, I don't want to give too much away from the episode, because again, I want you guys to go watch it. The best way that I can explain where I'm at with Kyron this year is that I think that Kyron was in a situation and took advantage of a situation that was very suitable to him, in the sense that there was no one other than him. And he did the job just enough, or he did the job enough that Sean McVay could trust him. The only problem now, and we were on the Kyron train last year, despite the team getting Blake Corum in the draft, and people were like, "We'll take Blake Corum." We're like, they're not. They are almost identical in how they play. That, like, if Kyron can do what Blake Corum does, but better, Sean McVay is going to keep him on the field, right? And that's what happened. But now this year, the team went out and drafted a completely different kind of running back than they've had when they've had Kyron Williams, and that's Jarquez Hunter. So people will look at Kyron's production and go, well, why wouldn't it be Kyron's backfield? And the best way that I can then kind of rebuttal that is to say, well, there's enough ambiguity talent wise or skill set wise that we haven't had in the past with Kyron. So can Kyron still get, 250 carries? Totally. I would expect that to happen still. But that's less opportunities. Less chances to find the end zone for a guy that wasn't incredibly efficient last year, that did not have nearly enough explosive plays. He only had 2 runs of 20 yards or more. And just for context, Drew Lock had 3 last year. So it's not that people, at least for me, it's not that I'm sleeping on Kyron. It's just that I've got question marks about how this backfield will look that I haven't had in the past. And that's what pushes me away from Kyron. And away is a pretty generous term, because there's a price for everybody in fantasy. But right now, like on the best ball streets, he's going as like a fringe running back 1. I can't pull myself to take him at that price tag, because I don't know if we're going to get that kind of production with whatever workload he gets. JM, I'll get to your question here in just a second. We need another running back. I don't know why I took Jalen Waddle over Aaron Jones when I need the running back. It's fine, I guess. It's fine. Sometimes you get caught up in your own world. You like Waddle over Olave and Ridley? I do, because I think the Jonnu Smith trade was a vote of confidence that this team can get Tyreek and Jalen Waddle going again. So I'll take I can see why people wouldn't be as in on Waddle, because he's burned people the last 2 years, and the Tua injury it's kind of the perfect storm. I just think this is the year that we can get a Waddle bounce back. Olave is fine. I don't have a problem with Olave, especially at his price tag, because everyone knows that his quarterback is Tyler Shook. So it's going to be pretty up and down. Ridley's the other one. Ridley is probably the most closest to Waddle in my rankings. yes, I feel like he's going to bounce back. He should bounce back because he's got the quarterback play now. But at the same time, like Brian Callahan, I'm not going to say that he's that I have my questions on the system that they're running in Tennessee. So yeah, he can be a ton of volume, but it's not going to be a high upside kind of volume, if that makes sense. Clock again. Boy, gosh, we need help at running backs, because do I reach? Nah. Oh no. Yay. It got me in. Just in time. That was scary. Here I was critiquing everybody on 30-second clocks, and I almost got auto-picked. Will Levis is done for the year. Guess that doesn't really affect much. No, because with Cam Ward was going to be the guy. You don't take Cam Ward first overall and have him sit behind Will Levis after what Levis did last year. That's just not, that would not be, that's a one-way ticket to losing your job if you're Brian Callahan. So yeah, Ridley should bounce back this year. Maybe the best reason that I can give is just that I just think the Miami offense will be better than the other two offenses. And that should help Waddle be better. So in theory, that's how it should work. That's how it should work. Got a kind of pseudo stack with Brian Robinson, Jaden Daniels there. Not bad. Have you seen that thing about defense just spamming cover 2 or cover 4 versus Miami to kill the deep throw? Yes. It has some merit. It also has none. I feel like they spammed cover 2 and 4. I don't have the splits to say like when Tua was in or when he was out. I just don't think that offense was at full strength. I think they are capable of beating cover 2 and cover 4. Yes, it's like you play that to kill the deep ball. But is that not what like people were trying out in Kansas? I don't want to bring Kansas City into this, but like that's what defenses try to do. They tried everything in Kansas City with Tyreek and Mahomes, and obviously that connection's different between Mahomes and Tyreek and Tua and Tyreek. But I think there's something that this Miami offense, it's getting the ball into their guys' hands. If that means not as like you got to be more what's the word? You got to be more you got to be, what's the word I'm thinking of? You got to be more you have to use your deep plays at the right time. That's what I'm trying to say. Like you kind of have to script them versus them being the entire playbook. Not saying that it was, I don't have like the Miami Dolphins playbook sitting right next to me, but for all as often as they were doing it before, I think they have learned they can't do that all the time. And so they will now set up those plays versus just spamming them, like defense spamming defensive coverages against them. Thomas' favorite team so far, as I'm on the clock here. Jordan Mason, please. Favorite teams so far, as I'll pull down the board. Thomas, I feel like there's a reason why you asked the questions, because you wanted me to say something about your team. Your team is pretty solid so far. Bryce's team is pretty nice so far. Logan's team, I like. McCaffrey, got to highlight the McCaffrey team. Not bad either. A lot of solid teams in this one. A lot of solid teams in this iteration. Oh, Thomas, your little Jennings and Purdy stack, not bad. Favorite team so far? Bryce, I'm so sorry. That's so gosh, I keep doing it to everybody else. Oh man. I'll choose a winner, or I'll choose some favorites here in just a second. Gosh, I think I've messed up my draft so far. Like probably should have gone like Diggs instead of ETN, and it is what it is. Thomas, dude, why? Gosh, this wide receiver. Yeah, golly. I didn't realize this, but my wide receiver room might play like 15 games. Like he can miss 2 games. He can miss 2 games. Waddle can miss 2 games. It's rough out here. Shaheed. Oh boy. I can say here's what I'll say. My team is not a favorite so far. I can say that for sure. Wesley, I feel like Tyreek could bounce back because he did have the wrist plague him. He did have the wrist plague him along with his off-field nonsense. With Jonnu out, I feel like him and Achane are going to roll. So I looked this up the other week, and I'm going to actually see if I can find the stats that I had pulled on this, because I don't want to make it sound like the wrist didn't have anything to do with last year. But I think having the wrist be kind of the end all be all to his fail, or to what was last year, or to his season last year, is missing some context. So here, Tyreek had the lowest yards after catch per reception in his career, and lowest total YAC since 2019, when he only played 12 games. That can be in part to deep plays, not having to backup quarterbacks, whatever. But that's noteworthy for Tyreek. He had his lowest deep target rate since his rookie year, and he also posted his worst catch rate on deep targets. So double whammy on the deep plays with no after the catch stuff. And ultimately, it was a 45% decrease from his career average in deep receptions, and a 29% decrease from his career average in deep targets. So I don't think it's just the wrist. I think, yes, Tua's injuries didn't help, and the backup quarterbacks didn't help, but this offense was not the same last year. And whatever the reason may be, I think it's an acceptable answer to say between wrist injury, between off the field, between Tua getting hurt and backup quarterback play, brutal offensive line play, and the offense changing to, I don't want to say against Tyreek's skill set, but not getting the big plays with Tyreek definitely hurt the offense. It all just came at once, and it ruined his season. So I hope that makes sense. Like, I feel Tyreek should bounce back. Like, fully healthy, everyone stays healthy. Like, he should bounce back. And Banana Man, exactly. I feel like with both healthy, Mike McDaniel can scheme them open. Yes, that's the take right there. I feel like Jonnu Smith wouldn't fall this far typically. You'd be, how do I say this? I don't think Jonnu is going to be the same as he was last year with Arthur Smith. I feel like Miami's going to stink. They only lost, didn't address any holes, and they were up against the cap. The offense should be fine. The defense, here's the thing. The defense won't be as good. The offense has the high-flying capability that they can be in shootouts all year long. They can put up a ton of points and a ton of plays, and that's typically a formula that can produce tons of fantasy points then. So they might end the season 7-10. They might end the season 8-9, but they might be worthwhile in fantasy then. I'm on the clock. Gosh, absolutely nothing. I'll go Rashad Bateman. Gosh, I do not like my team. And this is why we mock draft. My main takeaway, it is never too early at the 109 to take a running back and just knowing what receivers you can get back. One of these four, maybe. Drake London, AJ Brown, Ladd, one of them. Gosh. One of them we'll get back. So as we're kind of wrapping up this draft, to let the board show, getting Jaden Blue sniped from me in the 11th round is crazy work. You hate to see it. You really, really hate to see it. Would you rather have a running back or wide receiver at the flex? Depends on the format. Great question. Depends on the format. If it's half PPR, I prefer the running backs just because touchdowns matter more. But if you can find the right kind of volume receiver, you can play the receiver there. If it's PPR, I typically want to go with my wide receivers as my flex. Bryce is maybe enjoying the Jaden Blue snipe a little too much. A little too much there. Maybe. And he had to get the Dylan Sampson pick with Quinshawn on the team. So, Wesley, we'll see you on Wednesday. Appreciate you too. Looking forward and hopefully watching that running back video coming tomorrow. Appreciate you. We'll see you Wednesday, Wesley. Hey, sorry. Dropped my phone. If you don't like any other picks, is it worth it to take someone planning to trade them later, like hoarding wide receivers or running backs, or taking the second quarterback when you don't have to? I think what I would do is, if I don't like any other picks, I would find the guy that has the most upside, that if it doesn't work out, or I wouldn't actually, so I wouldn't call it necessarily upside. I'm on auto pick. Oh, well, it's the last pick of the draft. Oh, well. So it's not exactly upside. It's the clearest path to production. It's the clearest path to, like later rounds, big variance picks. Yeah. Maybe I'll say this. I think you target one of two players. If there's no one on the board that you like, that you want on your team, you target one of two players. You target, you target, I don't know why you target one of two guys. The clearest path to volume or work in usage in their offenses. That's one. Or the other is super high upside, right? Understanding that you are kind of planning for week one, in the sense that if the guy with the super straightforward path actually doesn't have that for whatever reason, it doesn't come to fruition, or the high upside guy, again, you learn just doesn't get on the field enough or whatever it is, you can move off of those guys, drop them to waivers, and try to go pick up like the top waiver guy in week one. That's what I would do. So again, if I'm not liking any other picks, look for one of those two players, because you're not attached to them in any kind of way. If they come through in week one for you, great. You find, I don't want to say a diamond in the rough, but you found a piece in later rounds of the drafts that most people may not have that can stick on your team. But if they don't, you can cut the loss and try to add the top waiver guys. Trevor, let's hear team 2. You got it. Chase, JT, JSN, Burrow. Oh, Burrow, Jamar Chase stack. That's the first time I've seen that, I think, in the mocks. Travion with Olave, Judy, Dobbins, Najee Harris, Tucker Kraft, Jake Ferguson, and Cedric Tillman. Interesting going Judy and Cedric Tillman. But you've got your 3 guys. Judy should be the guy here in Cleveland to be and as your 4th guy, don't mind that at all. I appreciate going Travion and having Dobbins, because I think Dobbins actually, I shouldn't say starts out of the gate, but he's going to get work right out of the gate. So you're covered if Henderson takes a while to get going, or if he does, awesome. I really like. This is true. I do like that team very much. That's a very, very solid team. That's a very tight team. And like you said, highest ranking on your list with that pick. I can get that. I get that. I get it. Banana Man at the 104. Jefferson, Bucky, Josh Allen, Terry, Travis, Diggs, Golden, Coleman, Harvey, Tracy, Kincaid as your tight end. Okay, that's not a bad team. You gotta hope that Terry gets into play here at some point. Running backs are okay. Yeah, they're okay. They're not my flavor, but I can get why, again, those would be your 3. Kincaid is your 1 tight end. I don't know how I feel about that. I know you have Josh Allen, so you went for the stack, but I personally, instead of Keon Coleman, I would have gone Tucker Kraft. Just because I don't know how I would feel about Kincaid being my starting tight end. CJ Stroud probably didn't need to do it just because you have Josh Allen. But there's stuff to work with here. That's the thing I would say. Like wide receivers of Jefferson, Diggs, Terry, if he gets into camp, signs the extension. Those are solid 3. Travis and Golden and Coleman are just kind of you reap the benefits of. So not bad. Eduardo in team 3, Saquon. Here we go. Saquon, Chase Brown, Trey McBride, DK, DJ Moore, Tony, Baker, Debo, Ricky, Jonnu, Algier, and Benson. Again, I would not have gone with the double tight end thing. I know that Jonnu was falling. But you literally have a guy that could finish as the tight end 1. The receivers outside of DK and DJ Moore, they're not bad, but I definitely would have gone a receiver over Jonnu. I think the running back picks at the end, don't want to say that they were overkill. You probably just needed one of the 2 guys, but I think the bones of the team are here. Just probably don't need to go a second tight end. Probably try to grab one more receiver. Bryce in team 10. Oh yeah, the Terry contract stuff not looking too great, unfortunately. Bryce in team 10. Henry, Genty, Evans, Jameson, Flowers, Addison, Mooney, Besh, Spears, Jaden Blue, Kyler, and Kittle. Running backs, solid. Ty is your 3, and Jaden Blue is your 4. I personally would have gone with like Rashad White instead of Jaden Blue. Just because there's not a whole lot of certainty with Tyjae Spears as your running back 3. I get the upside for him to be in a running back 3, but there's not a certainty that he is going to be a running back 3 type for your team. Kittle, Kyler, like that. The receivers are risky. They are a bit risky. Hope that Evans doesn't drop off. We've been saying it for the past year, so it's not really about him, but it's Jameson Williams with this Lions offense that should regress a little bit. Zay Flowers, just not a target hog in Baltimore. Addison could potentially get suspended. Darnell Mooney is a nice little piece. So what's ultimately going to make or break your team is these 3 receivers: Jameson, Zay Flowers, and Jordan Addison. If all 3 miss, it's going to hurt your team. But if one of them hits, or at least is at expectation, it should be okay then. So probably the receivers probably need a little bit of work. I probably, would have gotten Waddle over Zay Flowers. I probably would have gone Godwin or Jennings over Addison. But I also understand the thought process behind all of those guys. So Vinny at the 106, Puka, Jacobs, Kyron, Chuba, Hawkinson, Mahomes, Myers, Cup, Reed, Charbonnet, Mims, and May. Yeah, I think the only thing I would say is the receivers outside of Puka. They're fine. I don't want to say that they're fine role players. I feel like you need a more like solidified running back or wide receiver 2. So that could have been going Calvin Ridley or Chris Olave, Roma Dunze instead of TJ Hawkinson. Instead of relying on an aging Cooper Kupp, Jacoby Myers on a Vegas offense, and Jaden Reed. But the running backs are sweet. I also understand the thought process behind the quarterbacks as well. So I would give that like a B minus. Thomas from pick 11. Yeah, BTJ, H-Hand, Devontae, Ken Walker. I will try to get we'll try to get to the rest of the comments here in just a second. BTJ, H-Hand, Devontae, Ken Walker, T-Mac, Judkins, Kelsey, Jennings, Purdy, Egbuka, Kyle Williams, Sampson. Your running back 3 is essentially who's going to be the guy in the Cleveland backfield. So I get that. Kelsey is your tight end. Probably a bit risky. No, I shouldn't say it's risky. I personally would have had a second tight end waiting to go. Like Colson Loveland would be the guy. Obviously, he didn't make it to you, but had he been there instead of Kyle Williams, that would have been the Colson Loveland pick. And I bet I hope that's the thought process that you had as well. But receivers are really nice. I like H-Chan and Ken Walker as kind of your starting 2 running back. So yeah, I'll give that's a really solid team as well there. Austin at the 107. Good to see you. CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, Marv, Mixon, Devonta Smith, Aaron Jones, Bo Nix, Scattaboo, Warren, Javonte, Loveland, and Rashad White. I like the 4 receivers. I probably would have gone one more instead of one of the instead of either anywhere in this 4, just as one more piece. But I also understand like Tyler Warren, Colson Loveland, like one of them should hit, right? Like one of them should hit. And I also understand going as many running backs as you did, just because Mixon's aging, Aaron Jones is aging, Cam Scatterboo, who knows how that Giants backfield is going to look. Dallas with Javonte, who knows how long he has that job for. Rashad White. So I get the thought process behind the running back. So I'd say this is a really solid team as well. I'm higher on Mixon. I'm higher on Aaron Jones. So they should come through for you, in my opinion, at least. So if that happens, your lineup's going to be hidden most weeks. So solid. Logan and Team 8, McCaffrey, London, Lamar, James Cook, Worthy, Laporta, Shakir, Warren, Pittman, Stevenson, Ray Davis, and Harris. I appreciate going one quarterback, one tight end when you have those guys. Running backs, really solid. That Buffalo backfield pairing, Ray Davis and James Cook, you're set on that. Ramondre and Jalen Warren is the depth pieces. Yeah, I think that's a really, really solid team. Steven, the more drafts I do at the 101, the more it feels better having Bijan even in full PPR. Interesting. Let's take a look. Bijan, Connor, Caleb, Garendo, and wide receivers Tyreek, Garrett Wilson, Sutton, Odunze, and Downs, and Njoku. It's a really nice team. Garrett Wilson in the Justin Fields stack as well. I can understand where you're coming from. Thomas was hoping Travion would fall further into the 5th. I feel like his ADP is slowly going up, and we all know you like your rookie running backs. Dan, anyone who wants to join an ESPN Fantasy League, reply with your email. 7 spots left, 1 to draft at 10 p.m. tonight. If you want to join, contact Dan. Trevor, 3 winners, and which team is the best from sports and God? Let's do this. I think my favorite team it's probably Carson's team. Carson's team is probably my favorite. That's a winner for sure. Also kind of wish the Ingram stack with Knicks. Yeah, that if I understand going Scatterboo over Ingram, but I think I honestly would have just gone Ingram over Scatterboo, even with just 2 running backs. So I get it. If you had Ingram, I think that would put it over the top. I will say Austin's team is also a winner for me. So congratulations. Like that's an achievement or something like that. Yeah, like the tight ends, it's a gamble with the rookies, but I just think these rookie tight ends are really good. So one of them should come through. I'm just higher on Mixon and Aaron Jones than most people are. So they would see that and go like, oh, really? I just think those offenses will be good enough to sustain solid running back play. And it's not that you need the running backs to be, like top 15 guys. And if they are, awesome. But like if they're, 16 to 24, running back 16 to running back 24, your team is really based on the wide receivers. So Austin's team is another winner for sure. And I think the other winner is going to be Trevor. Good use of the tight ends. I love the running back pairings, the wide receivers. Trevor is a third winner as well. Dan, if not tonight, we can do tomorrow night. So again, if you want in on that fantasy league, contact Dan. Figure out what time that you guys would be drafting at as well. That's what I was thinking too. Cool. I'm glad we're all on the same page. Thomas, I do love me some rookie running backs, especially this year. It's a good rookie running back class. That's what I'll say. So, alrighty, y'all. 30-second clocks didn't really change a whole lot. We're still live for about an hour and 45 minutes. But hey, you know what? I really enjoy these mock drafts. I hope you guys do as well. Again, we do these every Monday. We go live on Wednesdays into the best ball streets, where even if you're not playing best ball, it is another way to get ready for the fantasy season, because the rankings in the ADP on Underdog change every single day based on drafting trends. So if a player is going way ahead of their ADP, the ADP starts to shift up. So in the best way to describe it, you can see in real time how the general fantasy community feels about certain players. So you can see that a guy goes way higher than where you would take them or where you would rank them for your home leagues. Cool. Good to know. Like, note that, right? So again, come hang out with Lucas and a guest of some sort. It's been me the past couple of weeks, maybe me again. Who knows? But come hang out with us on Wednesdays for the best ball mock drafts, or not mock drafts, but the Wednesday streams. We have our top 36 running back rankings and tiers coming out tomorrow. You don't want to miss that. We have our top 36 wide receivers then coming out on Thursday. Also don't want to miss that. And I will be back doing mock drafts next Monday as well. Check out our draft guide, fellasdraftguide.com. Updates should be coming out end of the week. And if that changes, we will let you know in the Discord. Again, hope you guys have a good time with these. Hopefully you're learning a bit more and getting more comfortable with with ADPs and rankings and stuff. So when you are ready for your home league drafts, you're ready to go. And all gas, no breaks at that point. Trevor, always a pleasure, never a chore. Appreciate your time. Much love. See you next Monday, probably Wednesday. Trevor, appreciate you, my dog. Appreciate you. Steven, these Monday draft streams are go to appreciate you taking the time. Of course, happy to help. You can follow me at Tyler_Plath on Twitter if you want to ask me direct questions. You can also friend me on Discord and ask me there as well. Or just join the Discord and just tag me in a comment and I will respond as well. So hope everyone has a good night. Stay safe, stay healthy. Again, really, really appreciate you guys, your guys' viewership. If you guys do enjoy these, it would help out a lot if you gave these streams a like. It goes a long way. Just a simple way to show your support and that you guys enjoy what we do here. So thanks again. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow on the podcast and we'll see you Wednesday on the Best Ball Streets. Later. Deuces.